Hi guys, welcome to Future Recapped. Today, I am going to explain a 2019 thriller miniseries called The Island. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. On the sun-soaked shores of a mysterious island, a woman is awakening to find herself all alone with no knowledge of how she got there. Her name is Chase. Across the beach, there are 9 other people who are lying face down in the sand. She then runs into a woman, who also can't remember who she is, but clutches a knife. Unsheathing it, she threatens Chase, but suddenly a man named Cooper arrives and tells them both that there are some other people also on the other side of the beach. There, all of them are wearing identical shirts and trousers, which practically have their names written on the label of.
Then the knife-wielding lady, K, C, and Chase continue to bicker, and this spills over to the rest of the group, while Hayden laments the group's basic thought process as she makes the campfire with Mason.
In the daytime, Chase gets a vision involving her holding a gun in her room, as a pool of blood oozes on the floor. As she awakens, she breathes heavily, she grabs an axe, and heads off down the beach. Some way down she finds Donovan washed up on shore, with his leg bitten. As she blows the horn, the rest of the islanders arrive and hoist her up, hurrying across the beach with her. After that, they gather together and discuss their options. Brody suggests moving inland while Cooper argues against it. As the group discusses their options, Chase tells them all she wants to leave the island completely. There were 39 steps between each of the islanders lying on the floor. As they talk, Mason and Hayden reveal they found something in the sand, and as they head up the beach to investigate, they find a sign that says, "Find your way back." Then, Chase steps on a broken shard of glass before heading into the water, where she finds an inflatable raft and more sharks waiting for her. She does a dumb move, as she cuts her foot open, but somehow, she manages to scramble on board. There, she finds a bag full of bullets and a medical case. As she heads back to shore, she gives Brody the cold shoulder before hiding the raft and the cases she has found from him. Now, Chase speaks to Cooper, and he tells her that he wants to survive. Promising not to tell the others what she has found, she shows him the contents from the raft, including a packet of gum that has the word 39 on it. He agrees that they should keep this a secret for now before heading off with Mason for their morning hunt. After a tense encounter with Brody, she heads back to the cases with the item in tow, which appears to be a key of some sort. Realizing that the lock on the case may well have something to do with numbers, she works her way through a series of equations before managing to open the locked case. Inside, she finds a revolver and, coupled with the bullets she found on the raft, loads the gun up and heads back to the group. Now, after sharpening her blade, Cooper heads off for a hike with Chase through the gorgeous tropics of the island, miles away from the group. Out in the wilderness, they come across a large, abandoned building that appears to be a hotel. With running water coming from a fountain, they hurry back to the group in record time and tell them about the beds and what they found. Unfortunately, Chase's antagonistic behavior lands her in the bad books with everyone else, who sees her as a bad influence and tell her to leave. Alone, she sleeps in the raft out in the woods while continuing to have flashes of life gone by. Grabbing her from the raft in the morning, the group drags her to the beach, where they find Brody stabbed in the stomach with her knife. Soon she blacks out, and later she awakens inside a strange, futuristic room lying on a bed. Then she sees a doctor standing over her. Panicking, she mentions the island but is met with a blank expression before she blacks out, awakening again to find Dr. Conrad standing over her. He tells her the paralysis she's experiencing is really just a magnetic field to help keep the prison population under wraps. After freeing her from her restraints, he rushes out of the room, where he leaves her stuck in the room. After that, guards arrive with guns and tell her to follow them. Brought before Warden Wells, he tells her about the new experiments they've been doing. She asks why she's in prison, but he turns the questions around to the island itself. It turns out she wasn't really there, and the island was all just a simulation. Leaving her to stew over his words, she fights off 2 guards effortlessly before knocking one of them in the chair she awoke in. Now, charging through the corridors, she fights past numerous guards, dodging bullets as she goes, before eventually being knocked out and thrown into a holding cell underground. After being given some time to cool off, she is taken to a room full of high-ranking officials, along with a warden and a man called the Professor, and talks more about the island. As she sits, listening to them talk, the group discusses whether they should allow her back into the simulation. Now, the warden hears enough and takes Chase outside and discusses matters with her alone. The warden tells her he'll be keeping his eye on her if she goes back inside, especially given how peculiar she's been reacting to the game. After that, the board comes to an agreement and decides that she should be put back in the simulation. As the guards grab her and take her away, The warden takes her outside and antagonizes her again, this time with a noose around her neck. Despite a valiant effort to fight them off, Chase is eventually electrocuted with tasers and knocked out. Bloodied and bruised, after a cryptic talk with a rogue psychiatrist who talks to her about the island, she manages to escape capture. But later the warden finds her again, sneering and informing her that none of them have a chance in the game if he has anything to say about it. As he tells the guards to light her up, the game begins again. Now, Chase returns to the beach, tied up while the group discusses what to do about her following Brody's murder. Still tied up, she tells the others what she experienced with the warden, but no one believes her. She warns them it's going to get worse, leading K.C. to ask her if she's got any proof, to which she obviously doesn't. Unfortunately, it does get worse, quite quickly too, as Hayden has a vision about stabbing a man in a car multiple times, crossing him off a kill list. This prompts the group to turn on Chase, wrestling her to the ground and searching for her as two strangers arrive on the island. Then, the group scrambles back to their feet while Chase believes these two have been sent by the warden to antagonize and manipulate them. As it happens, the two newcomers are called Bonnie and Clyde, and they begin weaving their web of deceit immediately. Then, they tell the group about the cases and guns that Chase has been hiding from them. Clyde then turns around and stabs Hayden in the stomach, telling them it's just the island serving justice as she was the one who stabbed Brody. As Hayden doubles over, spewing blood from her mouth, Clyde tells them they all signed waivers to agree to this experiment as the truth is finally revealed. Now, the rest of the group discusses what to do next while burying the now dead Hayden and Brody.
With the group split over what to do, K.C. and Moses head off to the abandoned village where they find a group of huts.
As Bonnie and Clyde smile from afar and mutter "let the games begin," the various islanders begin to have visions of their past life. Then, the scene is moved to Taylor, who is grabbing the raft and dragging it into the water, while Blair pleads with her to stop, reminding her about Bonnie and Clyde's warning. Pushing her away, she continues to drag the raft into the water while Blair rushes off to inform the others what Taylor's doing. Now, shipwrecked, covered in cuts and bruises, whereas Taylor breathes heavily before spying a skull that has "property of island" written on the side of it. Crawling back up to the mainland, she manages to make a fire and catches her breath, finding a bowl next to a plank of wood that has the word "chicken soup" carved on the side, which she hungrily gulps down.
After that, K.C. awakens to a vision of Aiden, burning the abandoned village she and Moses are sleeping at.
She then approaches the boy and reminds him she loves him, but as it turns out, her son wasn't actually there, as it was her doing the burning all this time. As Bonnie and Clyde laugh at the chaos consuming the group, more visions see the past begin to manifest itself. Ironically, the same word is tattooed on Donovan's chest. Now, when the visions become more intense for Chase, she questions the truth of her hallucinations and whether these have been planted in their memories or not. Meanwhile, K.C. and Moses head out to the water where he holds her in his arms while the visions of the past show her driving into the water. Given his name is Moses and the scene acts as a sort of baptism, suggesting about letting go of the past with some clear religious connotations. In the meantime, Mason's visions cause him to fall off the wagon in a big way, expressing serious psychological instability as he becomes jealous of Donovan. Unfortunately, his behavior sees Donovan grab him and start choking him out, a throwback to his own past visions. As Mason scrambles for a nearby rock to strike Donovan with, the brute is too strong, and the boy dies right there in the sand. Seeing this, Blair gets terrified, and manages to take the flare gun from Mason and stuffs it in her pocket. Convincing Donovan their dreams can come true on the island, she turns to face him before firing the flare gun at point-blank range at his chest, killing him instantly.
Meanwhile, K.C. and Moses arrive at the abandoned hotel where they find Cooper and Chase.
They decide to hear the duo out, but not before Cooper experiences another vision. Here, Cooper finishes Chase's mother and makes it look like a break-in. Then, he pulls the trigger in the vision, but it turns out he actually shoots Moses in real time too. Now, while Chase looks set to hit him, Clyde arrives there and tells her he'll take it from here. After that, Cooper and Chase fight off Bonnie and Clyde. Then, Bonnie gets stabbed through the mouth, followed by Chase stabbed in the stomach. As Bonnie and Clyde both fade from the simulation, Chase stumbles off to the beach, leaving K.C. and Cooper as the only two uninjured islanders left. Now, Chase blacks out, and she awakens back in the prison again. On the other hand, Bonnie and Clyde are rogue agents messing with the game, and for now, she's off death row and a free woman. As the warden approaches her cell, he's warned against antagonizing Chase. Now, despite being wary about leaving, Chase agrees to follow the guards, where she learns that her last name was Chase, and that her actual name is Gabriella. As she discusses her feelings toward the simulation, she's brought before the warden, who tries to nonchalantly wave away his behavior earlier before telling her there's nothing for her out in the real world. Then, he admits to trying to sabotage the program because of how horrible the rest of the inmates are, and it's here he tries to make a bargain with her, telling her not to mention him or the sabotage. However, she offers a counter deal, to break Cooper free of the experiment too, so she can tell him how she feels. Now, Bonnie and Clyde are faced with jail time, but despite being told they could give up an official in exchange for going free, the warden watches them like a hawk, and they refuse to play ball, telling them it was their own plan. Meanwhile, Chase is debriefed whilst being asked more about the gun and the number 39. It turns out 39 is the number of steps from the end of the cell block to the electric chair. It's a sadistic reveal, and it prompts Chase to bite back against the morality of the entire experiment. The warden then chirps up at this point and agrees with her, only to see them recess as the talk turns to that of Bonnie and Clyde and their possible boss. As they take a short break, the warden manages to take Chase away, but the psychiatrist catches him in the act. With him now investigated for the murders inside the game, Chase tells them the truth about the warden, who openly admits what he did, and that the cannibal was a pretty great idea. Now, breaking down the veil around them, the warden tells Chase that Dr. Wiss is hiding the truth from her, which prompts her to ask the psychiatrist outright what it means, later after the tense encounter. As it happens, everything around them is true except for her own appearance, which happens to be a lie. After that, Chase's appearance changes to an older and visibly aged version of herself, as she's injected with something in the back of her head. At last, Chase is seen as her true self, taken outside where she finds the world has changed completely. As she heads out of the prison, she finds a futuristic world in the distance. A lot has changed in 25 years unless the series itself took place sometime in the future. Meanwhile, the warden awakens on the island to find K, C, and Cooper, who welcome him to one land. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.